What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. I thought Cheats was going to be here, but maybe he's not able to make it today. So I'm going to just get this thing started, and yeah, we'll see what we can come up with for this two-gamer. Got really good until the last 5 minutes for me last night. Just didn't have quite enough of that second game, and that was obviously a big not a mistake, just would have been nice, and it turned things around and put me in a pretty bad spot. So did not end up doing well. I just bubbled I played 2 entries in the big one, and I literally bubbled with both of them. So that was kind of annoying. And that's the difference between winning and losing. So with that said, I'm going to jump into this slate. We'll talk about it game by game. Don't ignore all the exposures. They have nothing to do with anything. They're just where I'm at right now. I'm going to wait for things to normalize a little bit. We're starting to get some better numbers in now that Booker is out. I mean, it took a while to adjust, and wasn't that hard to adjust. I don't think anybody who knew anything thought he was playing anyway. All right, so obviously you're going to get a lot of chalk here. I would just say be very careful. I think Phoenix will play their guys a good amount of time anyway because they have plenty of time off. But I don't know that I really want to get involved with. I like the Jordan Goodwin. Both Brooks and Gillespie. Now, Brooks is going to take his shots. I feel very confident in that. He's going to take plenty of shots. I just am not sure this game stays close. And at these ownerships, again, I'm not buying these ownerships either. I think by the time it's all said and done, Dylan Brooks is going to be a lot more popular than he's being projected right now. Not a little, like a lot, especially in the higher buy-ins, as will Colin Gillespie. I do have a little bit of interest in Mark Williams. So of this group, the ones I want to focus on the most are Mark Williams, Jordan Goodwin. I actually like Grayson Allen quite a bit as a somewhat lower owned play, and I'm not in love with the Royce O'Neal idea. So I'm going to do is I'm going to mess around here and put a max on these guys of roughly where I think they're going to be owned, because I do want to try and find some different things on this slate. What's up, Corey? Good to see you. So I'm gonna put a max on the guys who I'm a little bit more wishy-washy on than I think the field is going to be. We'll put a broad one. We don't want to go crazy. We'll just put 60 next to these guys because I think that's more where they're going to be owning the bigger one. I'm not saying I won't play them in a big buy-in or something. I just think this game spells trouble. However, I like the guys who not only get the blowout run, but like if they're down 20, maybe you get a little thing going with Grayson Allen, Ryan Dunn, Jordan Goodwin, Iguodaro. So I'd like to be overweight those guys and underweight the super chalk, which is going to be Brooks and Gillespie. Again, I'm not buying this ownership number a little bit. I think you're going to be looking at much higher, especially in the higher buy-ins. So I will adjust that as we get a little closer to lock if Sabersim doesn't do it first. But first, that was the first note on the thing, is to do that. Now, what I'm going to do on the other side is something fairly similar. I much prefer the spend ups in the later games. We know OKC. So I want to take, again, we've got, only 23% Jalen Williams. That's weird. It was a lot higher earlier. I think it's going to be higher. I'm going to lower it down to 30 as a max. I lowered Shea's down a little bit. I might even lower it a little bit more because I just way prefer the guys in the next game. I'm not going to mess with Chet. I actually think that his projection, and SaberSim also has him lower than both Goldie and Cheats do. I bumped him up a little bit. I do like Chet a little bit here, and not going to mess. Now, again, the same thing goes with the other guys, though, a little bit. I want to get a little bit of exposure. I'm not only playing 90 lineups, so I can't get like all crazy frisky, but let's make sure we have at least some of the Jalen with the Y Williams. There's totally a path where this could happen. So I'm just gonna put little bits of ownership on basically all of these guys who are going to get completely zero love, but all could get there in garbage time and also could get there in regular time, because the fourth quarter, we don't even know who's going to be playing for OKC. These guys just run everybody out the building, and I'm going to treat this game that way just because the ownership may not. I think I am going to, and I am going to be higher on Caruso than the field. We'll make sure that I'm just at 11 for now. Cason Wallace is another one I'd like to be above the field on, and I'm not going to put any mins on the other guys. I'll just take what I get. Sort of where I'm at right now. Spurs. Okay. I think it's interesting that no one's playing Keldon Johnson tonight. That is something that I can immediately put a little bit of ownership on. I actually think he makes sense against this Lakers team. He's got the size and stuff like that, which again, Rui and Luka, obviously, I'm not saying he's guarding these guys, but LeBron, he would. And I think he's interesting. I think Castle's mildly interesting here. I would like to get at least some of him and have, late swap help me figure out the rest of it. Carter Bryant, believe it or not, this actually is somewhat relevant because it does just open up the room for these other guys a little bit more. I also kind of like the idea of getting to a little bit of Sohan. Again, these are just little tweaks that I'm going to make, and I'm not going to try and go crazy with it. These are not huge numbers that I'm putting next to them. Not putting flag plans. I'm just saying that I would like exposure to that side of things versus the other. This projection might be a little bit low on Fox. I still don't think I'm going to end up with much of it. Vassell, I'm sort of wishy-washy on. Cornette, look, it makes sense. We need value. I'm not quite as feeling this Harrison Barnes number. In fact, I'm actually going to lower this down to 23.5. See if we can't maybe get a little bit off of some of that chalk. But again, I still want to have spots for these guys. So I don't want to totally just put a max exposure on them. I'm not feeling that strong about it. And no matter what, we're going to end up with Dylan Harper a decent amount, but I would like to get a little bit of action there. Obviously, Luka, I think, is clearly the best play on this slate in terms of raw points, in terms of everything. I don't think I'm going to need to push this in, but we're going to do that anyway. I don't love LeBron tonight. He's a very hard player to project these days. I don't hate him. I sort of feel in between on him. I would like to just keep him around 41 for right now. It's a hard player to project. That's all I can say. I think Ayton might be a slightly under projected here. I'd like to get him up more around the, I don't know, I'd say 31 range. So we'll do that. And Austin Reeves, this feels too low to me. I know he's coming off of a dud of a game, but we've seen Austin Reeves put up with these guys 50 plus. I kind of like the idea of being over on that. For now, I'm just going to do this and see where we end up when we run things. But that's just something I wanted to point out. I just don't think LeBron necessarily should be projected higher than Reeves, and he's going to be more popular. So I can certainly tell myself a story to play more Reeves than LeBron. And let's just see where we end up at the end of all this. San Antonio with Cornette. It's not a traditional big, so I don't love this as a Jackson Hayes game. I don't know how many minutes they're going to let Smart play, so I'm not going to really touch too much else. I'm going to take those little tweaks. And again, projections are still going to update. I still might change some of these numbers. But those were just some things I thought of right off the bat that I think makes some sense. And I do think Ayton can do things down low against this Spurs team. It's just the problem is he's just, option 4 on the Lakers. And the thing I might do in my big buy-in is I might just play Luka and Reeves in there and sort of stack this Lakers Spurs game with the funky bench pieces from OKC and Phoenix. I think that's sort of the route that I'm looking at today. But we'll see what we got once we run these things and run the sims and whatnot. We've got another football week coming up. I'm going to be gone probably starting the 22nd or 23rd through the 5th or so of the year. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. And yeah, let's see where we're at once we're done running this thing. Jordan Goodwin, this is a pretty ambitious projection. I like Jordan Goodwin. That's the problem. So I'm kind of going with the ambitious projection part of it. I think we're going to end up with 1,000,000% of him once we rerun this. And you could tell me Luka's median is 62. I know LeBron. I mean, even with LeBron, he put up 73 in the last game. He's been under 60 once in his last 10 games. It doesn't feel like a spot where I want to be underweight Luka. I feel like the opposite. Borderline lock play, honestly. That's sort of the way I'm treating this. In fact, I might just say F it by the end time I'm done with all these. So this is where we ended up ownership-wise. I think I'm just going to make sure I have, you know what? Let's just make it 65%. I don't think we need to mess around with this. I think we can just play Luka. But currently what I was getting with what I did see, that Grayson Allen is a little bit ambitious. I like the play. Do I need 64% of it? It's not. I'm not playing a crazy amount. It's not the worst idea. And I did cap the Dylan Brooks and Gillespie, still getting a decent amount of them. I'm telling you, the field is not going to play. It's going to be higher than this on the field. And I do like getting over the field on Ayton. And like I said, we're gonna rerun with getting Luka in there. It's going to change things quite a bit because we're going to need the value pieces a little bit more playing a 12K Luka. But I just think you take the raw points on these two gamers, and I think it's the right thing to do, and that's what I'm going to do. Evening, Andy. Good to see you. Any questions or thoughts, guys? Drop them on in there because I don't have. Look, these 2-game slates. There's not a whole lot to go over. We also don't have a whole bunch that we're waiting for. I mean, the fact that I mentioned Carter Bryant, that I didn't have that on my bingo card for mentioning that on an NBA show. That wasn't a 1-gamer, but not a whole lot of things that we're waiting on. I guess McLaughlin, but he's not. I mean, I don't think he's going to play anyway. I don't think he played anyway, so I don't think it's anything. So it's really Carter Bryant, which is not much of a thing, but it's only relevant just because it's such a 2-gamer. Find something a little bit different that might work. Might see a little bit of a bump for him versus the guys around him. All right, let's see what we're getting to here. And for what it's worth, I like the Lakers and OKC to both advance. No shocker there. Actually, it's a look, I think it's right for Vegas because the Spurs have been frisky, but the Lakers are actually 7.5 points favorites. It's showing up on SaberSim has got them a lot closer, and I actually don't think that's necessarily that far off. I'm pretty much consider. You know what I think I might do? I just think it's the right thing to just lock Luka in. I think I might. And you guys know me. I'm not a big lock guy. I can probably take away some of my other stuff too if I want to do that because I just think it makes too much sense. And look, late swap is I'm going to have flexibility with my late swap. I could end up instead of playing him with I don't know, Sohan or something, I might end up with like LeBron and Reeves, which I don't mind. I don't love LeBron, but I wouldn't mind having like a little bit of it. Let's see where we end up with Luka. That's right at 65. I think it's the right thing to do with the way this is set up is just to play this more of the second half game. So I am going to lock Luka in, and then late swap doesn't mean I'm going to have 100% Luka, but let's just see what happens when we rebuild with Luka at 100. But it does mean that like I'm willing to take that chance. And if I just end up with Luka, that's fine. Like it's not like I'm getting that far above the field anyway, I'm only playing 90 lineups, so I'm not actually fully, but again, late swap will help me figure that out. And that is one thing that these are every slate's a good late swap slate, but these are the ones you really, really, really want to do it because you have all the information. You have half the information already done for you by the time the game starts or close to it. The game probably will go on until a little bit past 10 Eastern, that is. All right. Guess I'm going in on Goodwin with Booker out now. Well, Booker's been out, like just for what it's worth. There's nothing that's changed here for Phoenix. Devin Booker has been out. Jordan Goodwin has been playing this role, and this is not some sort of a lock play. I don't love this. I mean, I like Goodwin tonight, just because I think he's going to end up getting minutes. But I mean, you look at his game log, and this is the same thing without Booker: 16, 18, 15. He did have a 28 in there, then 25, 26, 14. I think SaberSim has him projected a little bit too high. So I'm not gonna end up with nearly as much of him as I do right now. That's my guess. Although he does fit my game script narrative of the potential massacring, and then he comes off the bench, and maybe he can do something. That's the only problem I'm having with the reason to fade him. I just am not buying that his median is 22.3 here. That seems a little bit aggressive. It's like an overreaction to something we've already had happening. Booker hasn't been playing, so Booker being out is nothing new. It's just projections for some reason thought he might play today. So I'm just throwing that out there. I wouldn't like lock him in or anything. Let's see where we're at after this. So we've got Luka. Okay. Dylan Harper, Goodwin. I mean, I'm probably going to have to do it because I have Goodwin, but I'm going to drop his projection down to probably a reasonable 20. And I kind of like the idea of this Caruso, getting 3 steals and making 3 threes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of ways he can get there. And just the lack of ownership is a little bit appealing, although the ownership has crept up and it's varied obviously between Goldie, Sheets and SaberSim so far. All right, guys, if there's no questions or thoughts, I'm probably going to get out of here, finish my builds, and then update them to Discord. We appreciate you guys hanging around with us, and give us a like on the way out of here or ask a question while you're still there. If I don't see one in the next 10 seconds, I am going to bounce. I do appreciate you guys. And 10, we have 3 more seconds. All right, we're good. Good luck, everybody. I hope you guys crush it tonight, and I will update my exposures in Discord shortly.